This is the direct correlation to makeup and why men will give you sexual attention. When they do makeup for women, that's a flushed face, flushed lips, those type of things to exaggerate that. It is about sexual arousal. That's why men will think of sex when they see women with makeup. Go ahead and check it. Don't take my word for it, but that's the main reason. That's why when men see makeup, that's the first thing on their mind. It's by design.
Before the perpetual soliloquies earlier, I did want to respond to the whole makeup conversation. So, men don't say they like makeup, but we as little girls see on the TV and how men respond to women on the TV, in magazines and all of that, how they respond to the women who are all dressed up, who have this long hair, who have this makeup on. And so it's ingrained in us because we see boys and men being attracted to these women. And so we develop this idea that that's what it takes to be girly. Also, we grow up with mothers that may potentially wear makeup and dress up and all of these things, and we model ourselves after them. Y'all want us to be like our mothers and grandmothers, but I digress. But my thing is, like, we learn what you like from what you respond to specifically. So you don't have to say it with your words. And then too, it makes us feel good. Like, I'm in the beauty industry. I like putting on makeup because I like making things pretty, myself included. So, like, some of us just do it because that's just what we do. But as little girls, that's how we learn.
Okay, well, before you get off that point, real quick, makeup. What does makeup mimic?
What does it
You
mimic?
said you into the makeup, right? What does it make? What does it mimic? Why they first come out with that? What does it mean?
I don't know.
Female
It was
sexual arousal.
I don't know.
Female sexual
no
arousal.
makeup came out for men.
Flush cheeks, flushed cheeks. Well, this is why. Well, this is the direct correlation to makeup and why men will give you sexual attention. When they do makeup for women, that's a flushed face, flushed lips, those type of things to exaggerate that. It is about sexual arousal. That's why men will think of sex when they see women with makeup. Go ahead and check it. Don't take my word for it, but that's the main reason. That's why when men see makeup, that's the first thing on their mind. It's by design.
I the only reason I question, I'm just
Yeah,
questioning that
I'll go
I
after
know we
this.
got to let.
That
Okay.
is incorrect.
makeup has been around since ancient times. So I think
You know,
maybe the connotation, yes, even if you go back to Egypt, like if you look at Egypt, like makeup has been around since ancient times. Not only did women wear makeup in ancient times, so did men. So that's why I'm saying I'm questioning that, maybe that's some new age stuff, but makeup has been around for thousands of years. That's not something that's new.
Yeah, I'll completely agree. And to add to that, with all due respect, it irritates me when we have a lot of these conversations about things and origins of things that now men have decided to despise when it was created by men. Makeup, heels, wigs, purses. All of these things were created by men for men first. Like, I just want to throw that out there. Wigs, purses, heels, makeup. Men, by men, for men. That is historically, objectively accurate. When you talk about makeup, makeup was created for people to express themselves spiritually, culturally, regardless of gender. Like, that is how that was created. It was not created with the idea of flushed cheeks and fluffy roses and all of that stuff to sexual arousal BS. I'm sorry, that is revisionist history. That is not accurate to what actually occurred. And I just do want us to be a little bit more accurate, right? And especially when you talk about the flushed cheeks, all that reminds me of a geisha. That's not even relevant to a black conversation. Like that reminds me of like white tea people or like Asian people or very fair-skinned people. We don't have flushed faces and rosy cheeks, and that's not our thing. So these are not like, when we think about Egypt, and somebody brought up Egypt, mistaken, that's the origin. That was in Africa and it had a different meaning. So I just want to throw that out there. Whenever we keep talking about wigs, weaves, and lashes, y'all need to blame those men. Okay? Y'all need to blame the men who created that stuff.
So as far as like the makeup conversation, I don't really wear it. I sometimes I'll wear mascara, but like pretty much how you see me right now is how I like walk around a lot of the time. I actually get told by men that I should probably wear makeup and then I wouldn't be single. um so there's that. Sometimes I'll, wear like mascara and eyeliner and like a red lipstick or something or lip gloss. But I've kind of gotten to a point to where I don't think to be honest, I don't think men really know what they want either. So because you see a lot of men respond sexually with desire to women who are, like sexualizing themselves. You won't wife them, but you'll give them attention. And I think what we're failing to realize is that attention is like currency to women. And if you're willing to give a woman who you don't want attention, but you don't give the woman who you do want attention, then how are we supposed to, it just like men have to decipher women, it seems as though women have to also decipher men. Because, on one side we're told, we love a natural face, but then on the other side it's like, oh, well, you should put something on. And then on one side, men are told, they want that 6 figure, 6 foot, the tall man, that's what women want. And then on the other side, we're told, well, men want a woman that only is like a size 2 with a big butt and big boobs, like that Coke bottle. So it's actually a caveat to the same. I think unless you're having a conversation with someone who's actually into you, we're ultimately giving attention to people who we don't and do desire, because at the end of the day, where you put your attention is where you'll end up going.
Yeah. I think that this is one of those things where men are more similar to women than we like to admit. And the example that I'm thinking of is when a woman says like, "Hey, men don't talk to me no more. Why don't men go out and talk to women?" Right? But the reality is, you only it's harassment when an ugly man does it, but it's welcome when an attractive man does it. I think it's the same with makeup. When a beautiful woman puts on makeup, you like, why are you wearing that? I don't like that. I'd rather you just be natural. But you want it on an ugly woman. You're like, yo, you should put on makeup when you come outside. So I do agree with Naomi. It's a lot of us men who don't know what we want. We don't necessarily know. We probably can't put our finger on what we even talk about. I think men are fine with makeup, but just light makeup and certain things versus heavy makeup. I think that's mostly what we mean to say when we say that anyway.
Yeah, I'll double down on that. I think that a lot of times what you find is, to Mon's point, we share that in conjunction, male and female, because typically the more clean cut guy, at least at one point, was heavily desirable as long as he had a job, a car and those things. And now you've seen that as we transition, now all women want is like plugs in your ears, tattoos, long beards, long hair. And that's the guy. You're like, you want to have kids with that dude? Like when he gets 50 with the face tattoo, you do realize like he got to go to daycare. Like it's weird, right? So I do understand that there's somehow, some way mixed messaging. But I will say, I don't think men don't know what they want. I think when I talk to men collectively, there is something about effort. If a woman refuses to like wear makeup, typically that translates to what she wears on her body. So if she doesn't wear makeup, she probably don't comb her hair, or she probably won't put on like form-fitting things. Generally speaking, like if she's that comfortable walking through the earth barefaced and she can't afford to do it barefaced, she probably gonna walk out the house with slippers on. She probably gonna walk out the no. I know you making the faces, Miss Pearl, but I'm telling you what I observe on a regular basis. Okay, so basically, I assume men are saying, you know, just show some effort, because that's really what it is for most guys. And, you know, anyway, I'll land there.